Greetings to everyone world over. Green morning, green afternoon, green evening to all our brothers and sisters across the globe. Today we have got yet another special program, this series which we are conducting with the help of our brothers and sisters across the globe. That's all educators, policymakers, visionaries, those are dealing directly with the education and skills program. We started this program on 8th of August under the dynamic and dedicated leadership of Professor Jagdish N. Sheth, eminent strategist, educationist, visionary. Under his patronage, this series has started. And today we have got yet another powerful morning, afternoon, and evening with Dr. B.N. Setna on 11th of August 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. Dr. B.N. Setna, the President, Emirate and Regent, Professor, the University of West Georgia, right in the United States, joining us all the way from there. Let me share a couple of slides with all of you before we set the ball rolling for all of us. We started this program on 8th of August. We had Padma Bhushan, Professor Jagdish N. Sheth, Professor Shyam Sundar Patnaik, the Director of the NITR Chandigarh, Madam Monica Bahel, the CEO, Beauty and the Wellness Sector Skill Council, under the aegis of Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India, and Professor Vivek Shankar Natarajan, Professor of Marketing, Lamar University, USA, who is our advisor in the United States. It was a privilege. Next day on the 9th of August, we had Dr. Preeti Sharaf Mehta, the Professor and Executive Program Director, all the way from Chicago, United States, Professor and Dean NICA, India as well. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75-year celebration by all of us together. And yesterday, it was a proud privilege to have Dr. K. Ganesh, the serial entrepreneur, partner, growthstory.in, adjunct professor, Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, promoter, Big Basket, Portia Medical, Bluestone, Home Lane, Hungerbox, and Verloop and other companies. What a beautiful deliberations yesterday. And once again, our thanks to Professor Jagdish Sheth, sir. He joined us yesterday, and it was a privilege to have him with us for the program yesterday as well. Ladies and gentlemen, today we bring a very special program for all of you from Dr. B.N. Setna, the President, Emirate and the Regent, all the way from the Professor, the University of West Georgia, United States. And today we are having webinar 1613, that is 1613th webinar. We have completed about 1600 webinars during the pandemic. What is the vision? What exactly are we working? We want to have creative capacity building deliberations for Indian teachers' empowerment, addressing the teacher shortage world over, because some of the countries are having less population. They are looking forward to dynamic, dedicated, and professional teachers. Why not India fits into that role? The potential role of Indian teachers, educators, counselors as a force in the world. पुनः भारत को विश्व गुरु बनना है. So Azadi Ke Amrit Mahotsav, 75-year celebrations. When we talk about, ladies and gentlemen, we share with all of you International Chamber for Service Industry, ICSI, the chamber dedicated, the link between the NRIs, non-resident Indians abroad, focused on services sector since 1994, and we have got a special focus on education, services, skills, micro, small and medium enterprise, startups, entrepreneurship, tourism, entertainment, wellness, services exports, with teachers training and the youth empowerment. During pandemic, we all realize, we all understand, we had lots of challenges, but our teachers, they are great, they are wonderful. They are the great warriors. And our chamber also during the pandemic, we dedicated total milestone. You can see the road journey, which we took care of. That's the teachers and the youth empowerment, Atmanirbhar Bharat 2022. During this particular program, we had been focusing on how to make education relevant. Education should be relevant to our day-to-day life, day-to-day living. When you think about agriculture, you think about manufacturing, and you think about services, services sector has got maximum contribution to the GDP of India, and that goes with many developed countries as well. We are proud to share with all of you, we are the first chamber and we are the first organization which set up India's first finishing school way back in 1994 for the service industry, where teachers, educators, counselor, youth, your personality enhancement, your communication skills, your collaborative skills, your creativity, your innovation, your curiosity, your critical thinking, your design thinking, and your continuous and lifelong learning. And why don't we have in our education music, humor, fun, dancing, happiness, passion, stimulation? All that should be the part of education ecosystem. And that's why during the pandemic, the entire brick and mortar finishing school with the walls have got converted to the digital arena, hybrid model, inspirational lab, inspirational skills. And that is your soft skills, life skills, innovative storytelling, art of the talent display. Everybody has got talent. There's no person on this planet who doesn't have talent. The only thing is you got to have an art. How do you take out your talent? How do you exhibit your talent? How do you display your talent? You all are talented, ladies and gentlemen. You all are talented. So our inspirational lab, your mental wellness, your physical wellness, your professional wellness, your social wellness, your economic wellness. These are the challenges post-pandemic. Come, let's work together. We can move on, because if you make education relevant, if we take care of our teachers, educators, counselors, trainers, motivators, everybody together, the world would be altogether a different place. The amount of money which is being spent on the arms and armaments, if that could be diverted towards education ecosystem, how the world would be. We all will live peacefully. We should save our environment. So learning through nature, learning with nature, learning all the times, thinking how to save every species on this planet. Teachers, you're gardeners. Water management, waste to resource management, your climate change management, your carbon neutral, understanding the cultural diversity, immersive learning experiences, and lifelong learning. That is the motto of our chamber, inspirational lab through our finishing school. Honorable Prime Minister gave the new education policy on 29th of July 2020 during the thick of the pandemics, and Honorable Finance Minister during the budget display on 1st of February 2022 gave big impetus and emphasis on education, skills, digital technology, digital university, skill centers, mental wellness centers, couple of things being discussed. Think about it. Now we are celebrating 75 years of India's independence. What would be the scenario by 2047? Become future thinker. Think about tomorrow. Our children, our youth, our young population. That is the asset of India. Just a little while before, I was having deliberations with somebody over a cup of tea at somebody's residence, and they were talking about agri-tourism, rural tourism, Ayurveda tourism, wellness tourism, nature tourism, green tourism, wildlife tourism, tiger reserves, couple of things we were talking about. Let's take our education ecosystem in a practical way. When we get up in the morning and when we go to sleep, पूरे दिन के अंदर जो हमारी दिनचर्या रहती है, that should be the part of our education ecosystem. World population is aging. Hand-holding by Indian skilled educator. Our focus, human services, exports from India. You can do that service while physically being in India, but doing it digital leapfrog. Tomorrow we are going to talk about it, digital leapfrogs. That is going to be the deliberations tomorrow. So ladies and gentlemen, our brothers and sisters across the globe, non-resident Indians, for Indian education and skills, they can do wonderful, wonderful job for us, for all of us. Now, as a part of a humble journey, we are taking baby steps forward for all of us. We are dedicating ICSI, International Chamber for Service Industry. Till 15th, we are having the programs. that is the deliberations which are going on now. Then 1 week, we will prepare the entire report and the synthesis and everything. And under the leadership of Professor Jagdish and Sheth, we sent across to the Honorable Prime Minister. And 22nd to 31st of August, remember, this is something very important, which I'm sharing with all of you. Preparing global teachers. There's going to be a free of cost program for all the B.Ed students. Those are from the northeast part of India. There are 8 beautiful treasures, 8 beautiful states in the northeast part of India. If you are in northeast, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya, Assam, Sikkim, if you have done your B.Ed, if you are interested to be a teacher, if you are passionate becoming towards teacher, there's going to be a 10 days complimentary program by our chamber for all of you in the northeast part of India. So why to wait? You have got the WhatsApp number down below right over here, 9988447058. And you've got the email ID also, that is teacherstraining@icsi.asia. We would love to help you. You would pick up all those skills and threads, and you need not to go anywhere. It's a free of cost. It's on your mobile. It's through the WhatsApp. 10 days mental marathon. We will do it together. So join us. And that's the contribution of the ICSI towards 75 years of India's independence. Tomorrow, this is going to be a wonderful, wonderful panel. And all of you, you're going to meet Professor Vijay Mahajan. He is University of Texas at Austin, USA. And his recent book has come, Digital Leapfrogs. I'm also going through this book. Tomorrow, we'll be deliberating about this book. We'll discuss about it. We would also be joined with Professor Vijay Mahajan, Professor Dr. Sanjeev Chaturvedi, who is the advisor India in Uzbekistan towards Entrepreneurship Development Center in Tashkent. We will also have Dr. Abhay Sinha, the Director General of the Services Export Promotion Council under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Of course, Professor Vivek Shankar Natarajan, our advisor, would also be there. Do join us tomorrow, don't forget. So, whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Let's come together for preparing Indian educators for the global journey. All of us together, let's focus on teachers, our educators. If we take care of that, wonders can be done. And that's going to be this evening, the presentation from Dr. B.N. Setna, the President Emeritus and Regent Professor, University of West Georgia, United States. Dr. B.N. Setna is a professor of business. He has served as a president of the University of West Georgia. He was the longest serving university president in the state of Georgia among both public and the private colleges and universities. Dr. Setna is a distinguished alumni of the 2 most prestigious higher education institutions in India as well as in Asia, IIT Bombay and IIM Ahmedabad. It's estimated that no more than a handful of people hold both these honors together. He has also served an interim executive senior vice chancellor for the University System of Georgia. Dr. Setna has been awarded and honored for his remarkable work time to time. He is the first person of Indian origin ever to become president of American University. It's a proud privilege when we have got him. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me in extending a very warm welcome tonight, Dr. B.N. Setna, joining us all the way with his presentation from United States. We extend a very warm welcome to Dr. B.N. Setna, and there we go with his presentation. Dr.
Hello,
Setna.
everyone. My name is Beru Setna, and I'm delighted to talk with you today about addressing the teacher shortage, the potential role of Indian teachers as a force in the world. So to be able to do this, I need to go back to prior to the year 2000. And I've called this slide, Channeling the Ghosts of Y2K. Before I start this, let me give you a piece of financial advice. Seems completely unrelated to the topic, but bear with me. So if you want to become rich on the stock market, I've got a tip for you. Simply follow me around, see what stocks I buy, and do the exact opposite of that. And that will make you really rich, because I belong to a select club called the Buy High, Sell Low Club. I've always lost money on the stock market. I've never been a good predictor. However, there may be one or two exceptions in my entire life. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about what happened many, many years ago in the late 1900s, and give you an example. So we were talking about thousands of Indian engineers were enlisted to fix Y2K. The year 2000 was the year that was supposed to bring computer companies to their feet, because we had to program all the computers. And it turns out that we didn't have in the United States the power, the human power, the programming power to reprogram all these computers. And we enlisted the help of thousands of Indian engineers to fix Y2K, which was the problem at hand for the entire world. So in Tom Friedman's book, The World is Flat, he jokes over here, Y2K should be declared a national holiday in India. Call it Indian Interdependence Day. And you see Michael Mandelbaum, foreign policy analyst at Johns Hopkins, said that. That's because they said that that was when India became a real world figure and a world power. So let me tell you about my role in predicting this. As I said already, I am terrible in predictions. And if you want to get rich, you do the opposite of what I do on the stock market. But on this one, I called it right. This is a story in January of 1998, so 2 full years before Y2K. And I was invited to India to make a presentation at the Nirma Institute in Ahmedabad. And I made that keynote talk. I was giving the keynote talk. And this is what I said. It's time we realize the significance of the 21st century being 720 days away, rather than continue to refer it as the coming of the new millennium. It is best to think of the event as the business opportunity rather than the challenge, because behind every challenge lurks at least one tremendous opportunity. And I was saying there that the need for establishing leadership in the world as a region, I thought that India could play a significant role in Y2K. Remember, this was way before Y2K. And I was criticized very strongly for this talk in January of 1998. As you see, the date of the article is January 9th. So to tell you a little bit of the skepticism regarding my predictions, I wrote to the editor because I was criticized in the paper, in the midday paper, which is published in now called Mumbai. In those days, it used to be called Bombay. This is what I wrote to the editor. This is a follow-up of an article published by Midday a little over 2 years ago. This thing happened now. This is 2 years after the particular article on January of 1998. And so I'm writing now in the year 2000, talking about an article that was published in 1998. And the article was a right approach with the subheading, Indians can make it to the top if they cash in on opportunities, says management expert Beru Sethna. So I was a keynote speaker, I go on to tell the editor, in January of 1998, and had included in my remarks a belief that Indians could in fact, be at or close to the top of our new world order based on computers, and could become internationally known figures, much like Bill Gates has become. I have to confess that this remark was met with some skepticism, which was reflected in the midday interview with your worthy reporter. And this interview we're talking about now is January of 1998. So Mr. Nambiar asked, and I quote from the article with the exception of words in square brackets, indicating my impression of the current words, truly your refrain, this is the reporter talking, your refrain about India producing another Bill Gates is a far-fetched thing. And so I go on, according to your judgment, why do Indians as a rule still serve at the lower end of software services in the United States? Again, please understand that he is talking here about a claim that I made in January of 1998. My response, there is absolutely no reason for Indians to stagnate at the lower end of services. The right approach and the right encouragement would ensure that they take their rightful place under the sun. So it is my estimate that India is a brain power, a major brain power, and should be dominating certain segments like software development in the future. And now I'm back to the year 2000 in this next sentence. I suspect that many people would agree that events of the past 2 years, a relatively short time, have shown that my predictions in January 1998 were not so outrageous after all. I continue to believe that India and Indians can and will be a world economic power if we use the right approach founded in sound business practice. And I say, I hope you agree, and thank you, and put my name, and I just want you to get the date straight. So the date of my original prediction at the NIRMA conference, where I was the keynote speaker, was 8th and 9th of January in 1998. And the date of the midday article was 10th January 1998. And the date of this letter is 2 years after that, in January, February of the year 2000. So all of that is just background to say that my faith back in 1998 that Y2K, which was still 2 years away, could make a huge difference to the way the world regarded India and Indian capability. That it did not have to be at the lower end. If you look at the top line again, did not have to be at the lower end. It can be at the upper end and take their rightful place in the sun. So this is what I predicted. Now let us come to today and the topic for today about Indian teachers, and let's see if we can learn some lessons from what happened 22 years ago during Y2K, and actually 24 years ago from my prediction, which was 1998. So I believe we can learn something from these lessons. And I believe that Indian teachers can become a force in the world. But in order to be able to do that, we need to understand the ingredients for success and how we need to do them well. That's the important thing. So how can that be done really well? Major ingredient for success is English. I'm not going to get into a political discussion about the British and the British rule and so on. That's long gone. But there's no doubt about it that English is one of the legacies that Indians have from the British rule. And it helped us tremendously, it helped India tremendously at the time of Y2K, especially relative to China. Because the Chinese are a talented people, but Indians lead China on their mastery of English. And we have to understand that that is a key ingredient for success. And if you are talking about Indians doing well as teachers in other countries, especially, and I'm going to focus on the United States, which I know best. having spent now, at the date of this presentation, 49 years, almost 49 years in the United States. I have to use the US as an example because I know that the best. So again, if Indians are to make a mark, just like Indians did for Y2K, Indians, they have to make a mark in the United States and perhaps in other English-speaking countries. Please remember that a key ingredient for success is the mastery and the knowledge of English. And that is still one of those things that India leads China even today, even 70 plus years after independence. India still leads China. And that is something, as I said, without getting into any political discussion, that is something that Indians need to affirm and use that as a key marketing approach, that the Indian mastery of English is a key ingredient. And if Indians want to make headway as teachers in the United States, and as I said, in other English-speaking countries, the knowledge of English has to be at a very high level. So one of those lessons that we need to learn is, just like English was a powerful force in Y2K, so too English must be a powerful force today when we are talking about teachers. And so my exhortation is that before any teachers actually come to the United States, that they be comfortable and skilled in English. That is a key ingredient. Another is quality. Remember, another reason why Y2K succeeded is because the quality of Indian engineers and software engineers and computer scientists was first class. And you have to go back to pre-independence days, when under Nehru, there were the IITs created. And the IITs are now recognized institutions all over the world. And they created that quality that was world class. And that was a magnificent vision of that time and helped drive the success of Y2K. So now in our context today, we're not talking quality of engineers, but we have to talk of quality of teachers. And quality is measured not just in content knowledge, but also the ability to deliver that content knowledge in English. So we are going to talk about quality. How do you develop quality in teachers? You have to believe in the capability and the will. And both things are important. The capability. Are Indian teachers able to come to the United States and teach well? Because remember, teaching and failing will do more harm than good. So my exhortation is, again, if the quality is not first class, just like it was at Y2K, remember, Y2K believed in a world-class philosophy. If the quality of teachers and the quality of English in our teachers is not first class, this initiative will not succeed, is my belief. And, you know, as I already told you, I'm not an expert in the stock market, but this is what I believe. So it needs to have, before the first teacher gets on the plane to come to the United States or any English-speaking country, the quality of English must be good, must be great, and the will to go through these prep sessions, these preparation sessions, to be good in content and in quality. And again, let's talk about content for a while. because we need to follow a clear marketing approach. From a marketing standpoint, it matters not. It does not matter what the teacher would like to teach. It matters what the demand is. And if you are talking about the demand in the United States, then make sure, I'm talking now to the organizers of this and the teachers as well, make sure that you are training teachers to teach the content in the areas that are in demand in the United States. Because the US is a very unforgiving market, meaning if demand is not there, no amount of supply is going to make a difference. It's just going to lead to extreme frustration. You have to follow the demand. That's a prime tenet of this approach, and something that I encourage you to do from my perspective as a marketing professor. So this is driving home the same point. You have to meet the need. You cannot look at what is convenient to the supplier, meaning Indian teachers. You have to look at the need, the demand, and you have to supply to meet that need in the proportionate number of people. Because again, if you flood the market, you do no good to anyone. You do no good to the Indian teachers, you do no good to the American market. So let us be extremely concerned that this has to be a marketing approach. Where is the need? In what topics? If, for example, there's a need in STEM topics, then let us focus on that. And let us focus on quality. Again, quality is measured in two ways, at least two ways. One, the technical capability, and two, the command of the language. Quality is also measured in another important way that I should mention, and that is a teacher has to be a good teacher. You can be a super engineer and in the field that people want, and you can be a terrible teacher. And so we have to focus on that part as well. So there needs to be, the training needs to make sure that you have the capability, meaning the technical capability, the will to study and master English, and the caring that goes along with being a good teacher. This was a quote from Tom Friedman's The World is Flat book, and I looked up the original, and Louis Pasteur said, "Fortune favors the prepared mind." And he said this way back in 1854. So let us keep that in mind. Fortune favors the prepared mind, because Y2K and the Indian success in Y2K didn't happen because of luck. I mean, there was an element of luck, let's be honest about that, but didn't just happen because of the element of luck. It happened because Indian engineers and software engineers were prepared, were mentally prepared. The mind was prepared. Again, thanks to the vision of people back in the late 1940s and early 1950s who created the IITs. So let us look at that approach again today and do it well. So let's look a little bit about the US market. There is a shortage of qualified teachers. For example, a recent article said they are so desperate. By the way, this is not the first line. No college degree required to teach in Arizona is not just because they don't think a college graduate is necessary. College graduate is necessary, but they're so desperate. They're so desperate that they've changed the rules. And here I'm giving the reference of the quote: "People in Arizona may now be hired to teach in public schools, even if they are enrolled in college, but haven't graduated yet." So why are they doing this? Again, I'm going to emphasize, it's not because they really believe that college graduation is not necessary, but it's a sign of desperation. So certainly this leaves a key opportunity for the Indian market to take advantage of. So the law easing requirements for new teachers was designed to attract more job applicants to the public schools. But many teachers cite low pay and lack of respect as the real reasons the state lacks teachers. Now, I want to be honest with you, because teachers in the United States right now are suffering from both these items. And remember, this is not my article, so I'm not saying anything from my head. I've given you the reference of the article, and Scott Jacek of Inside Higher Ed has stated this: low pay and lack of respect. So we need to be aware of this. So there is some sort of a political agenda, and there are a number of laws, and I'm talking now in the last few months. The last few months have had a number of laws saying there are certain things that are prohibited, divisive concepts, that students should be caused no discomfort, that you should avoid something called critical race theory, and so on. So one of the good things from the Indian teacher perspective is there is no baggage. So Indians don't come with this political agenda in mind, or with the desire to do any of these things. But you need to keep in mind that because of that, of course, one needs to be aware of this so that you don't say something by mistake. But Indians come giving a fresh perspective. And especially in the STEM disciplines where I teach, this sort of stuff never comes up, because I teach statistics and I teach quant stuff and I teach geeky stuff, that these things don't come up. But we need to be aware of this and account for that in our in your approach. So again, the reason I mention this is both a plus and a minus. The plus is that no one will really expect Indian teachers to have this background when they come, meaning no political baggage when they come. Correspondingly, they still need to have the background so that they don't make an inadvertent mistake. And I want to be very clear that I'm sharing this only in my personal capacity, not speaking on behalf of any institution which I'm affiliated, and these views are personal in nature. Actually, these are not my views. I'm quoting from an article. But anyway, nonetheless, I need to state this for clarity. So to summarize, and this slide is repeated on purpose, summarize, there are three things that I urge those of you who are organizing this effort and those of you who are participating in this effort. Three things. Concentrate on mastery of English, concentrate on quality in terms of content quality, in terms of English quality, and in terms of quality of teaching, the caring and what makes a good teacher. And focus the attention in terms of the areas of need, not the areas where Indian teachers would like to teach. Certainly you can market those areas. If there is a developed need, that's okay. That's still within the concept of marketing, but to a limited extent. So the first blow, and I have to state this again because reputations are made at first sight. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. I'm going to say that again. It's not my quote. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So the first batches of teachers that come to America or to any of these other countries have to be excellent in all of these dimensions. They have to be excellent because you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And I'll end with Pasteur again. Fortune favors the prepared mind. Please be prepared for all of these things before you get on your first plane and your first flight. Thank you for your attention. I would normally be happy to take questions, but this may be a non-live session. So that's a challenge to be worked out. But nonetheless, I appreciate your listening to. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In fact, it's such a pleasure to hear, Dr. B.N. Setna, the eminent educationist from the United States, Ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned to you initially in between, let me just go over that once again, that we started this series on 8th, and tomorrow is going to be, again, after Dr. Setna, yet another powerful evening for all of us, which we look forward to. And I would appreciate that share your views, share your comments, and all of us, wherever you are, while conveying our deep gratitudes and thanks to Professor Setna, I wish to share tomorrow's slide with all of you. Tomorrow is 12th of August, and tomorrow you would be having a special program, Rise of Digital Leapfrogs, and you'll be meeting the global educators and the skill leaders. That's on Friday, 12th of August, 2022, where Professor Vijay Mahajan, University of Texas at Austin, USA, would be with us, and he'll be sharing his vision. Professor Dr. Sanjeev Chaturvedi would be joining us from Uzbekistan, and he is there for the Entrepreneurship Development Center in Tashkent. And you will have Dr. Abhay Sinha, the Director General, Services Exports Promotion Council, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, along with Professor Vivek Shankar Natarajan. All of us together, we look forward to yet another powerful evening. So before we sign off today, let me convey my deep gratitudes and thanks to Dr. B.N. Setna, joining us all the way from the United States with a very powerful vision that English, quality, need, and numbers. In quality, he emphasized on capability and the will, and what contents are in demand. We got to find out that. So, Indians, all my brothers and sisters, when we are celebrating 75 years Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, what could be more powerful? What could be more pragmatic and futuristic? Because you got to think ahead. If India is going to have the largest population, young population, why not we should move abroad? Whosoever is competent, capable, do work over there for a few years, come back to India, bring your experience, bring your knowledge, bring your intellectual capital and your innovations with you, because it's education ecosystem which can bring a change. So before we close today's session, I would like to share with all of you, do join us tomorrow for the Digital Leapfrogs, and let's have wonderful deliberations, discussions, and a vision of Professor Vijay Mahajan, which we all will experience. With these words, signing off today. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you very much for being with us.